Disclaimer. The information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of GAN's processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment. For patients and individuals, such information is not to be a substitute for professional medical, therapeutic, or healthcare advice or counseling. For medical issues or concerns, including decisions about medications and other treatments, readers, viewers, listeners should always consult their physician or, in serious cases, seek immediate assistance from emergency personnel. Prescription information, procedures, and use of medical devices information should be undertaken only by properly trained and certified medical personnel. We specifically disclaim any warranties, express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Such information is provided, as is, and is believed to be accurate at the time of its publishing, but it is the viewer's job to evaluate the accuracy of any information found in this presentation. Every case presented is of their own experience, applied by themselves for themselves, and it applies to their case only. Every person experiencing health problems should seek professional medical advice and consult their course of treatment with a doctor. The processes of plasma balancing described herein are a natural process which supports the body but does not replace medical advice or therapies one is already subject to.
If I can come in, please. The preliminary negotiation starts on 28th of November. We have an instruction to complete by 20th of March. We have overall target to conclude the negotiation by 24th of December. The meetings usually start at about 9 o'clock, and it's a continuous multiple meetings. And what we have suggested, or a point for Universal Council to consider, that all the knowledge seekers around the world from 28th of November, 9 o'clock Central European Time, will praise the soul of the negotiators. These negotiations will have a fundamental operational change for humanity. Keshe Foundation has on standby 48 units of the enhancement vision and what we call the brain to be delivered to Arizona pending the negotiation. These are intellectual right property of Iran, as a guest will be as a gesture of peace to be shipped to Arizona. The situation is very simple. Iran is getting sanctioned for obsolete technology, which all the other nations have. And in a way, we request from the Universal Council, Councilman Old and Keshe Foundation, knowledge seekers to concentrate from 24th of this month. This is where all the groups gather in Vienna to start the preliminary and negotiation starts on 28th. And this is what we request from the Universal Council and the knowledge seekers for the support, elevation of soul of the negotiators to see the way that we can end a lot of things at the same time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Keshe. I just want to take a minute, Mark, just to thank everybody for being here and allowing me to present. And I'm looking forward to carrying on this journey every day from now on till as Mr. Keshe said, is a super important day. And we all need to row in the same direction and bring peace to this planet finally. Thank you all so much for being here at the North American Corona. And as you can see, international, which includes Australia. So you all have a great day. Over to you, Mark. Thank you.
Thank you. And he did say from around the 24th of November to start elevating the soul of the negotiators. And the negotiators are apparently from most countries and most religions. I don't know how the religions are fixing into this, but there is some importance on that aspect of it too. And we need to elevate their souls as well, because we know the predicament that they have kept man in for so long on this planet, not allowing us to really discover our soul and cashing us out in a way. So we can elevate their souls as well, as they're part of this entire process. And apparently the vision and emotional brain enhancement systems are hinging on this in a way. I don't know exactly how. So let's all keep that in our, go ahead. Somebody want to say something?
The purpose, the reason that Arizona is on a hold is transfer of technology. Once these systems arrive in US government under territorial action can claim on them. And the Keshe Foundation technology becomes assets of the US government. And this will not be moved till we get assurances in negotiations that we walk towards peace in all directions. And the hinging is not hinging. We have withheld shipping anywhere, any unit, as part of the intellectual rights. And these are laws and bylaws which within the American structure comes into operation. And we are holding to this position. Transfer of this technology to the United States creates millions of new jobs, literally. And when we say one city, one center, Keshe Foundation has already organized establishment of 1,000 centers around the world. And we are not looking for partners. We are not looking for somebody to finance us. We finance it through the Keshe Foundation structure and operation, and we have already started with the Keshe Foundation China, the process with the China construction company. There is a mystery or a mythism that people never understood why One Belt, One Road was initiated by President Xi. And that was to keep the construction companies and technologies developed by them in business. Chinese finished their operation, literally building their cities and their country through rapid industrial revolution of construction by early 2000, 2005. And the country was facing a massive unemployment in construction, even though a lot were not employed, because they built whatever they wanted to build, and they developed the country over 30 years. Now, President Xi, by producing the One Belt, One Road, allowed these construction companies to expand and keep their employees. And 90% of the One Belt, One Road has been to keep the construction companies in China and employment keep going. And this is why One Belt, One Road everywhere is into construction. And they have facilities in every nation. And Keshe Foundation, we've been in a long negotiation with China construction for over 3 years. We just need to ask them to start. And this has started. We deal directly through instructions to CPC and national security with China construction. They already have tested some of our material in their offices. We know what we're going to get. And literally is building, if you're in Europe, you understand the supermarket structure of the Lidl and Aldi and standard supermarkets, is copycatting, replicating the same structure around the world. When you walk into the Enhancement Center in Arizona or in Lagos or in Sydney, they all look exactly the same. We have secured the finances for building these 1,000 units, and the work has already started. We have a number of meetings with our factories in China, and they start the process of building the enhancement units and the facilities for them. We gave nearly 3 years chance to the knowledge seekers and others to come in. We sold a number of them, but it wasn't the way we wanted it. Now we own, we operate all the knowledge, what we call wellness centers around the world. And you will see them popping out from, I presume, March, April, in different part of the world, until we reach the 1,000. And how we decide the 1,000, it more or less goes back to Universal Council decisions and partially how we see political, geopolitical moves. We still have problems with what we call strategically putting things into US. But on the other hand, we have no problem to equip our, what we call Arizona Center ready for part of the peace reduction. We have a jetliner standby to ship the first load into Arizona second week of December. We've been told we don't deliver because we were waiting for peace negotiations, and now we are part of it. We implemented technology in exchange for peace. And this is how we set up, and this is how we proceed. There is a question just come up in respect to the agriculture. Keshe Foundation, China and Iran have started moving on this direction. Iran Keshe Foundation has received full collaboration agreements. We have signed agreements with the most advanced agricultural university in Iran. And we start literally publishing papers through this university. And Beijing Agricultural University, we already have agreements. March of next year, we start in a massive project in Mongolia, which we were involved before. Now CPC has forwarded us to that position. It's something like $400 million of project, which is literally based on the basis of the Keshe Foundation technology. And at the same time, we have to work with different understanding of the technology in agriculture. But certification of the technology has already started with Iran leading university some 3 weeks ago. They observed our harvesting for 2 terms, and they consider it as a very advanced stage, and we have appointed people who work with the university for the next spring, what we call seeding and forward on. But as I said in the meeting with the management of the Keshe Foundation team, is that as now we are investing in 4 universities around the world, starting from next week, we do not want to go out for the others to publish and deliver the confirmation of the agricultural and other side. We will produce research and development in our own universities, and we publish. If there are the scientists who want to test it, they don't need to test it in their universities. They join the Keshe Foundation, keeping their position as a professor in the Keshe Foundation, and do test and development inside, that it becomes part of the Keshe Foundation technology, not somebody, if he wants to publish a paper, we have a journal, we can publish, we are a scientific journal registered, so we can do everything ourselves. The game of the Keshe Foundation as of about a month ago has changed. We don't go out looking for people to do things for us. We set it up to do it ourselves for others to join in to do it with us. We waited a long time for what we call cleanup operation of the cities from what we call pollution. And we saw how much we got from pole to post. As we have informed the Iranian authorities, and we start negotiation as of about 10 days ago. And now we have informed the Chinese government of the same. We build centers in Tehran, which capture up to 1,000 tons of CO2 across Tehran over 3 months, or maybe more. And with that, just before we come on teaching, we were discussing 150,000 household units, as I said in the teaching, will be given to citizens of Tehran to operate these in their homes and generate money for the family. We give them, they operate it, we buy back the products from them, and then we use it in what we need across the new purposes. The same will be done in China. We will give the same to Beijing, 150,000. The poorest families will be given a unit. It's just like looking after a milking cow. And milk it and put it out, and the milk tank will come and collect CO2. You're going back into the history in the same way, but this time not only we clean, we pay for it. We are not waiting for anyone to finance us. The finances are all in position and we start. Actually, we have started. As you've seen before, we gave a chance to the government. Government didn't do it. We gave it to knowledge seekers. Knowledge seekers watched it, so we do it ourselves, and we have started doing it ourselves. Building of the universities, building of the centers for CO2, building of the enhancement centers, building of the agricultural centers, all financed by the Keshe Foundation. We have brought in a massive budget, and we carried as one nation, one planet, one race. We have become an alternative government, but as one nation for the whole planet. And we have raised the finances for this purpose.
Mr. Keshe, I was wondering, you're saying 1,000 tons a year, perhaps more or less, out of some of these centers, Beijing, Tehran, London, New York, maybe LA, probably Mexico City, and so on. When they collect these, and I understand the CO2 will be turned into carbon credits so that more can be reinvested, what actually happens to the CO2 once it is collected? Is it distributed to farms, or what is, where does it actually go? Or what's done with it?
First of all, at the moment, carbon credits are around about $60 a ton. Keshe Foundation, through agreement, will receive 50% of it for development and other sites and positions. We did this to stop all this, what we hear nonsense about CO2, as we saw in Glasgow, who agrees to do what. We set the pattern, but there is a very big concern from us, and that is unbalancing the nature by extracting too much. So extracting the right amount, it becomes part of us, part of our work. It's not just extracting CO2. We will have more problems if it's done too much. We're spreading the extraction of the CO2 across the city in a large and a small scale. It's a formidable task for the first 10 years, but we have received the green light in Tehran to go ahead, and we will start investing. You will hear it. The order for the production of the systems is already gone to Tehran. What we do with CO2 are a number of ways we can use it. We have paid for it, so it's obvious how much a family can collect. If they collect a ton a year, they get half of what we get, and the other half goes into operational collection and the stuff and the rest of it. So a family, if we can manage the system, they should collect about 10 liters of gas a day. We've done a full measurement on it. That gives them 3,600 liters per year. It is about 3.5 tons. Some of it go for expenses of costs. The others, they get money for it to move out of poverty. And then we move those units from house to house to bring that to everyone. The CO2 will be used in many, many different directions and diversions. A lot of it will be sprayed on the land, contaminated the lands. A lot of it will be used in agriculture to bring balance into the system. A lot of it will be used in oceans to reintroducing energies back into the oceans that will bring Earth back to life. Alex, in his teaching, brought a beautiful subject up, maybe for the first time some of you could understand. We have brought and moved from chemistry of physicality to chemistry of energy. And CO2s are energy sources. Once we change them from the state of matter into energy and gas. A lot of it will be used primarily for, in a way, converting the CO2 into energy, which we will see how it will change the position and condition. We capture the CO2 from the air, but we can again spray the same CO2 as energy over the same city to become the source of change and elevation of the soul of the man. It becomes the source of energy for food. When CO2 is in the atmosphere, is in a state of matter. When we capture it as a gas, it's a state of energy. And in a very clever way, we feed it back. We spray the cities with it in a specific way that will change a lot of things in conjunction with mixture of other gases, because CO2 is connection to the soul of the man, connection to the physicality of the man. So we are not worried how to use it. We are sure that other part of the nations and planet will ask they want to as well. Then we have to bring a ration into how much we extract, that we don't create a new disbalance. We have to understand the technology, and the teachings like what we see with Alex bring some of those forward to open a new dimension for knowledge seekers to understand the application. And this is important for many of us to not to worry to what we capture, to be rejoicing in capturing these elements. As a matter of state, we can change them to energy states that can be used perfectly. Every 40 liters of gas in liquid state becomes 1 kilogram of gas in a solid state, in a matter, what you call it, gas state dry. And when you spray the dust of this over agricultural land, it stays for at least 3 to 5 years. There's no need for fertilizers. There's no need for pesticide. There is no need for worrying about what the next step is, because you look at it as a dust on the ground, but don't forget its energy. It changes the whole atmosphere above the ground. balanced energy field transfer harvest increases by 3 to 10 times in some cases. We know this, we already done it in China, and that's why, as you know, we have received a 2 billion euro financing by the Chinese government for just expanding our factories across China. We come a long way, but now it's what is getting delivered and what is to be done. And we are not relying on knowledge seekers anymore. We're relying on teaching all our staff we employ to become knowledge seekers. We used to take a staff if you were knowledge seekers. The instruction has gone out even in a meeting with the management of Chinese. Anyone who gets a job at any Keshe foundations across the world have to go through 1 month of teaching, and not there just to pass it, is to understand it. And if you feel somebody is just there for the money of it, not understand the ethos and the work, the job is moved on. And as of last week, this is a decision which is going around all the Keshe Foundation. We need to employ, but we teach them our ethos first, and why we are doing it, the reason we are doing it, and the knowledge how to do it. Then we employ them. And we don't have no exams. We look for the understanding, and then people somewhere down the line will match it. A lot of things will change, you will see. By building of the first university of the Keshe Foundation in next, most probably you will see it within the next 6 weeks. Building of the second university in Tehran, the same. Building of the university in Beijing, we have requested from Chinese government to allow the Keshe Foundation Space Institute to be open as a university. And as we already said, Arizona will become in the next few days part of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute University structure. We went to government, we had no joy, we came to knowledge seekers, limited work. In a way, we started back and we do it ourselves. You know the old story of the little bird in the farm. And the children came and said to the father, the farmer said, the family, we heard the farmer saying with his family and the friends that tomorrow we start harvesting. Father, we better move. He said, don't worry, nothing will happen. The next day came and nothing happened. 2, 3 days later, the children came and said, Father, the farmer we heard with his son saying that he's going to start with them to start harvesting. He said, there is no worries. 2, 3 days later, the children said the farmer was telling his wife tomorrow he's going to start harvesting. He said it's time to move. And now we came to that point. We started to move. We don't rely on no one, and Keshe Foundation will develop it in its own way, and we have secured every finance for it. Knowledge seekers or non-knowledge seekers will come, and we'll see how we develop it. We take the knowledge to the governments, we deliver it with technology, we finance it, and all they need to do is just to enjoy the benefit of it. And then we carry the same. Time of waiting for knowledge seekers to come up, maybe they do something, is not over, but now it's more concentrated with the Keshe Foundation operation itself. And Keshe Foundation is all of us, not just me and a few others.
I was thinking of the morale of the employees at some of these various facilities will be much more elevated than your standard, let's say, auto worker or someone else who may not be quite happy with the conditions and the pay or the boss and so on. And therefore they don't produce as much, or they may steal a few things to think if they're being undercompensated, well, I'll do it this way, or I'll work
We
less hard.
still have it. We still have it in Keshe Foundation.
What?
We still have it in our operation around the Keshe Foundation. The same thing. For man to change it takes a long time. Abuse of facilities, abuse of everything. I'll give you an example. When we opened the Trani University, we had lecture room on one side and we had the lab on the other side of the building. Brand new building, some of you have been there. We had a tray of something like 200 green screwdrivers. These screwdrivers were cross or the, what do you call it, normal single head. You couldn't find these screwdrivers anywhere because they were brought as part of my previous work when the East and West opened up. We had millions of these, tens of thousands of these. And we found some of it and we brought it to Trani to be there for research when we do the research. After 3-4 months when we finish, I think we walked away with a handful of it. Knowledge seekers still take, maybe a souvenir, but no one took a permission. And this goes right across the knowledge seekers and Keshe Foundation the same. They don't steal, they think it's Keshe Foundation and it belongs to us, and they help themselves with it. Changing the ethos will take a long time. And what I say is just understanding. We hope man changes. And that's what I said, it takes a long time to change man from killing and changing. And the process is to understand it. And people like Jalal, like Alex and others are trying to open this in the direction that more common understanding of the knowledge is available. I have a small message for all the knowledge seekers, especially North America, Canada, and others. Some of you have been making donations to Keshe Foundation USA through PayPal. This account will close as of next week. Any donation has to be paid to the Keshe Foundation head office, to the operations which we have, which is on the Keshe Foundation website. Some of you have done this for years through to the acquisition of the Keshe Foundation USA by Mark Ray. This account, as part of the operation, will be closed down. And if you were paying money into the USA Mark Ray account as donation, that account will be closed as well. Any donation has to go to the Keshe Foundation, what we call the head office in Holland, to the way which is already mentioned in the website of the Keshe Foundation.
I just got a message on the Telegram. Aloha, everyone. Is there an update on the MagRev's power plasma generator? Are they releasing it? I'm getting a lot of inquiries about purchasing it. Thank you. Thanks for any info you can provide.
They will not be released at least till after the peace talks negotiations with Iran 5+1 is completed. This technology will change a lot. We already use the technology in the enhancement units. But again, it's a disruptive technology and it's already has been used by Keshe Foundation. We use it in the enhancement unit and a new MagRev system has been developed, which will be on the production line of the Keshe Foundation in Iran. The MagRev system from Iran looks very much different than the other MagRev systems that are operational. And then the next phase for them is to become generators. There is a lot riding on the peace talks in Vienna. A lot, more than you can imagine. You mentioned what's got to do with religions. A lot of governments who sit in negotiating table come from different backgrounds of their faith and belief and operation. And the members are there and most of them believe first in their religion, then in negotiation. Iran, China. We have the European community, we have the British, and we have the Russians. So we have Americans which represent the state of Israel as a Jewish state. So America cannot make any decision if Jewish lobby does not allow it. So in a way, we are reading one side political and one side religious. And we have to thread a very fine line that all work in the same direction. When you elevate the soul of the, what we call negotiators, it's not just their soul, those who come with a belief of it. You'll find the Iranians will go for 5 times prayer during the sessions. The Jews within negotiations will take the Saturdays, Friday nights off to observe Sabbath. When the Christians of negotiation go to the temple on Sundays, they call it whatever church or whatever they believe. Then you understand 5+1 is not just a peace talk, it's a merger of all the religions at the same time.
Yes.
Mark,
Go, John.
Mr. Keshe, what will happen there in Austria is from Monday when they're requiring the jab on everybody on the street and everywhere else?
We are waiting for, we have received the government, what we call ruling. From tomorrow, all the shops are open and you can only be on the street if you're shopping. So there's no stoppage in this. The workers open the shops. The people can go and shop. You have to have certificate of injections. You have to have, or have a certificate that you've been infected, or for a time being, for office, in the offices and the factories, as long as our staff carry a PCR certificate, which lasts 3 days, every 3 days they have to be tested. And the situation is that our factories will run, our research centers will go, and our exhibition center will be manned to the best of what we can. We expect that within the next 10 days, the ruling will be no injection, no going out, but that infringes the human rights. but we have to wait and see. We have what they call total lockdown, but nobody has been stopped from going to work. But in a way, the way we see it is just a show at the moment, because everything that goes on, you're on the street, they can't stop you. If they tell you where you're going, I'm going shopping. So there is no reason, as long as you have a PCR test on the street. They cannot stop you in the supermarkets if you don't have an injection or the certificate. You cannot make people hungry, and you cannot stop them wearing clothes. And this is what now is everywhere, with France, with Germany, with Italy, with Holland. Switzerland has gone the same way. But we have to see. The time when they say you have no injection, you cannot be on the street, then that's an infringement of human rights. And I think you'll get a big problem. But this is what it is. We are not the only country. Holland is already moving in other states. Germany is the same. And it has affected us, but we can cope. You got to realize, people who started this, if you go back to the articles, they said they are prepared to finance this for 20 years till they get their way. They can finance all the nations' losses for 20 years, and then they pay them afterwards. It's very much what we saw with the Second World War. They brought all the nations to their knees, and then the nations paid back for 40, 50 years after the war for what it is. This is a silent war. We have to live with it, we see. The only way out of it is the rapid development of the space technology to give man a chance above 80 kilometers. And this is what you're getting June of next year.
Would anyone else like to add any thoughts or perhaps ask a question at this point? And I'm going to play something that was created in Australia for the last 6 minutes before we play the final disclaimer. So I hope you'll stay with us. It's a very beautiful presentation that Lisa and Jim have put together. It's about 6 minutes long. Anyone else would like to come forward? We want to thank Mr. Keshe for coming in and sharing some of the details of what's going on in the background with the technology, and more importantly, with the negotiations. Apparently, these are very critical and getting what we want to get out of this, which is a benefit for everyone. So let's elevate the souls of the negotiators and all the others that are involved, all the souls involved, whichever position they may occupy at these meetings. Gee, with everybody leaving on Friday and then Saturday and then Sunday, it's interesting how much negotiating can they do. But with elevated souls, I think they can accomplish everything and get things wrapped up rather quickly. So we're going to all play a part in that, just the way you play a part in the spraying and connecting of these beautiful centers that are about to be put on the earth. Anyone else? Again, it's about 20 past midnight in Europe, and we do want to respect everyone's family and time and so on. Anything else from anyone else, please?
Mr. Keshe, anything is happening near future in the sun?
Yes, it will shine.
It is shining now,
It will
but
be the same, no difference.
no difference.
As far as depends, the structure does not, the structure working of the solar system does not change unless something essentially happens inside the sun or within outside. But as far as we can see, there is nothing. We are not the future tellers. We are a scientific organization and we don't see anything.
When is the soul harvesting time?
You decide, and you're only responsible for your own soul.
Massive soul?
That's your understanding. Nobody harvests souls. I don't know where these comments come from. As I said I explained before, and I explained to some religious leaders, especially in the past few days, past few weeks, the understanding of heaven and hell is not what you were afraid of, or whatever is the position state of your soul at the time of separation of the physicality and the soul of physicality and the soul of the man. So we, in a way, day of judgment is every day, as I said, when you act, not collectively, everybody will be there and we harvest souls. Who harvest souls? Are human being bunch of fields of animals that they slaughter at the same time and they harvest their meat? We are individuals. We are created individually, and we take our position in the next step of life according to our conduct. Your heaven, hell, and day of judgment is the day when the separation of your soul and physicality comes. Not waiting for everybody to line up and that's it, we harvest. As I said to a priest in Vatican, we don't have a soul combined harvester.
We don't have soul, we have frequency.
What do you mean?
No, I know we don't die. I feel like that. Yeah. I'm confused sometimes. A lot of people saying a lot of stuff make me sometimes.
No, it's a very simple. We are part of a cycle of changes of the fields of the universe. The energy which is a cell of your body, most probably in the cycle of the universe and universe, has been part of another object, part of another being. It's been part of the sun, definitely. That's where we came from. Your transformation of the energy to matter state and what we call energy packages become life. And when we die, we go back again from energy, maybe to another state of matter or another state of energy. Life did not start with man, and life will not end with man. We are just a piece of time in the cycle of the fields of the universe. The rest is what we make for ourselves to give ourselves importance.
Thank you.
Well, if you look at the life of even an apple grows on a tree as a matter state. It drops on the ground and it becomes energy to the same tree again for the next cycle. It's the same for the life in the universe. There is no difference. It depends which part of the state we collect that energy or we observe it. As an apple on a tree, the tree, all the energy is when the apple is on the ground and to you rods, but the way it transfers its energy to the ground, so it goes back to the tree, and so it becomes energy to other things. And this is the truth about life. We just make it that we are important because then we have a reason to do what we do. They're just part of another cycle of transformation and transfer of energies, magnetic fields, and from one to another. You're a vapor, nobody can see you. You're a mist, nobody can see you. You are in the room. If I heat up the room, you see it as a moist. If I chill the room, you become water on the window. But in fact, it's the same water. Depending on the state of condition, we manifest ourselves in different ways and directions. And that's the essence of creation.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Disclaimer. The information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of GAN's processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment. For patients and individuals, such information is not to be a substitute for professional medical, therapeutic, or healthcare advice or counseling. For medical issues or concerns, including decisions about medications and other treatments, readers, viewers, listeners should always consult their physician or, in serious cases, seek immediate assistance from emergency personnel. Prescription information, procedures, and use of medical devices information should be undertaken only by properly trained and certified medical personnel. We specifically disclaim any warranties, express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Such information is provided, as is, and is believed to be accurate at the time of its publishing, but it is the viewer's job to evaluate the accuracy of any information found in this presentation. Every case presented is of their own experience, applied by themselves for themselves, and it applies to their case only. Every person experiencing health problems should seek professional medical advice and consult their course of treatment with a doctor. The processes of plasma balancing described herein are a natural process which supports the body but does not replace medical advice or therapies one is already subject to.